Good day, everyone. First of all, thank you for being here today. My name is Samji Samira, and I'm a fifth year graduate student working with Professor Aranda Nicola at the Department of Chemical Engineering and Material Science at Wayne State University in Detroit. It is my pleasure today to discuss about some of our recent efforts on developing an understanding of catalysis at solid interfaces using non precious mixed metal oxides for energy storage in batteries. This work is in collaboration with Professor Jeff Greeley's group at Purdue University, as well as Chip Roberts at the Toyota Research Institute of North America. Let me start off by motivating the need for high energy density batteries. Plotted here is the theoretical and the target practical specific energies of different battery systems in comparison with lithium ion batteries. Lithium ion, which is the current workhorse of the electronics industry, is quickly approaching its theoretical limits. Therefore, in order for widespread electrification of the transportation sector, there's a need to move beyond lithium ion and into higher specific energy batteries, such as lithium oxygen. Lithium oxygen batteries provide a tenfold enhancement in the theoretical specific energy as compared to that of lithium ion batteries. In addition, achieving roughly 30 to 50% of this theoretical specific energy would result in a fourfold enhancement as compared to lithium ion batteries. This, this target practical specific energy is close to that of gasoline, thus enabling potential commercial realization of these technologies, which can enable driving range of more than 500 miles per charge. These LiO2 batteries are complex multi-component system consisting of a lithium metal anode, a non-aqueous aprotic electrolyte, and generally a carbon-based cathode. During discharge, the lithium metal is oxidized at the anode, leading to the formation of lithium ions, which are transported through the electrolyte, while the electrons are transported through the external circuit. At the cathode, gas phase oxygen is reduced by the electrons and the lithium ions, leading to the formation of solid lithium oxygen species. During the charge cycle, these solid lithium oxygen species are oxidized, leading to the evolution of oxygen and redeposition of the lithium back at the other electrode. One quickly sees the importance of this electrode in determining the overall efficiency of these systems. This electrode needs to have bifunctional electrocatalytic activity in the sense that it should be able to catalyze both ORR and OER. In addition, this electrode should have high surface area to store vast amounts of solid discharge products, as well as have the ability to conduct electrons and lithium ions. The complexity of these multi-component systems results in a number of challenges associated with their practical application, as showcased here when carbon is used as the cathodic material. Shown here is a typical discharge charge curve when carbon is used as the cathodic material. What this curve represents is the potential response when a constant current is applied to the cell. Since the current is held constant and the x-axis represents the charge per unit mass, this essentially becomes a time scale. The first thing that you notice is the large asymmetry in the overpotential losses during the discharge and the charge cycle. This high overpotential loss is associated with the insulating nature of Li2O2, which is a high band gap insulator. In other words, what this plot suggests is you're putting in about 4.4 volts of energy to charge the battery while getting only 2.7 volts out, thus making these systems less efficient in nature. In addition, this high overpotential losses during the charge cycle results in triggering of parasitic side reactions, which is seen as a loss in capacity over cycling, and almost there is no capacity left by the time the cell reaches the fifth cycle. Therefore, there's a need to understand the catalytic processes occurring at the cathode that can reduce these overpotential losses. Our approach here is to understand the fundamental factors that describe the electrocatalytic performance. Being catalysis researchers, We start off by trying to understand the reaction mechanism and trying to define the problem in terms of selectivity. The reaction mechanism at the cathode generally involves initial electrochemical reduction of oxygen via electrons and lithium ions, leading to the formation of adsorbed LiO2. This adsorbed LiO2 can further undergo electrochemical reduction, leading to the formation of Li2O2, or two adsorbed adjacent LiO2 molecules can chemically react, leading to the formation of Li2O2, while generating oxygen. Recently, it has been reported that LiO2 can be formed as a stable discharge product in these battery systems. One of the advantages of stopping the reaction at LiO2 as opposed to going to Li2O2 is the fact that LiO2 offers higher electronic conductivity, consequently resulting in lower charge over potentials, while Li2O2 results in poor electronic conductivity as well as higher charge over potentials, as I showed you earlier. In terms of catalysis, this now becomes a selectivity problem where one has to tune the discharge product distribution into the formation of lithium deficient products. Therefore, we set off with the following objective, where we want to study the fundamentals of the solid-solid interfacial catalysis on non-precious mixed metal oxides that guide the selective formation of LiO2. Our approach to study this solid-solid interfacial catalysis involves atomically controlled synthesis of first series Thedelson-Popper oxides of the general form La2NiO4. These oxides have been shown to exhibit excellent electrocatalytic activity, as well as they are made up of non-precious metal-based systems like lanthanum and nickel. These oxides exhibit a tetragonal symmetry where the perovskite layer is separated by a rock salt layer, and the perovskite and the rock salt layer continue on in the z direction. The atomically controlled synthesis allows us to control the surface termination, thus making these oxides good model systems to study the solid-solid interfacial catalysis. We then combine our synthetic tools with detailed electrochemical and characterization studies using Raman spectroscopy, titration, and mass spectrometry to understand the selectivity of the reaction products towards a particular discharge product. Since it is challenging to obtain an atomistic picture of this solid-solid interface using experiments, we turn our attention to modeling to understand this interface. We use a reverse microemulsion based technique to synthesize these rod-like nanostructures via varying the water to surfactant ratio during synthesis. As the water to surfactant ratio is increased, the synthesized oxide goes from a rod type structure to a spherical particle. Using transmission electron microscopy, we observe that the polyhedral shaped particles are terminated by multiple surface structures, while the rod shaped structures are terminated by single facets along the longitudinal axis. To further characterize the surface structure of these rod-shaped nanostructures, we use high-angle annular dark field imaging using scanning transmission electron microscopy. Selected area electron diffraction measurements indicate the formation of 001 surface termination on these oxides. Upon Yale's measurement of the near surface region, a nickel-rich region is found, suggesting that the surface is actually terminated by the 001 nickel oxide, which is the catalytically active surface. The synthesized oxides are then incorporated into a lithium oxygen battery to study their electrocatalytic performance. Carbon is initially benchmarked by discharging and charging it to a limited specific capacity to gain insights into the near surface growth and oxidation of these species. Upon the incorporation of polyhedral shaped La2NiO4, a small reduction in the charge over potential is observed. However, upon the incorporation of rod shaped La2NiO4, a significant reduction in the charge over potential is observed of roughly 0.7 volts. Potential reasons for this reduction in the charge over potential include formation of non-traditional discharge products such as LiO2 during discharge, which consequently oxidize at lower potentials during the charge cycle. On the other hand, It could also stem due to the high activity of rod-shaped La2NiO4 structures towards Li2O2 dissociation, leading to lowering of the overpotential losses. To further gain more electrochemical insights, we turn our attention to slow anodic sweep voltammetry during the charge cycle. What this experiment basically does is the charge cycle is slowly swept through from the theoretical potential to roughly 4.6 volts while the current is monitored. On a carbon only electrode, a single peak at about 4.4 volts is observed, consistent with our discharge charge studies as shown in the previous slide. Upon the incorporation of polyhedral shaped La2NiO4, a small reduction in the charge over potential is observed, similar with our discharge charge studies, while incorporation of rod shaped La2NiO4 leads to a significant reduction in the charge over potential, as well as the presence of a secondary peak at about 3.7 volts. This peak at 3.7 volts can potentially be associated with the oxidation of non-traditional species such as LiXO2, where X is less than 2. In other words, it could potentially be associated with the oxidation of non-traditional products like LiO2. Although electrochemical studies provide valuable insights, they are limited in understanding the nature of the discharge species formed. In order to understand the nature of discharge species formed on these oxides after discharge, we turn our attention to Raman spectroscopy, which was performed in collaboration with Chip Roberts at the Toyota Research Institute of North America. In all the studies starting now, I'll mainly be focusing on rod-shaped oxide catalyst due to its enhanced performance during the discharge charge cycle as well as the slow anodic sweep voltammetry experiments. On a discharged carbon-only electrode, the presence of LiO2 and Li2O2 is observed using Raman spectroscopy. In addition, an interface between LiO2 and carbon is found to stabilize the formed LiO2 due to its undercoordinated nature. On the other hand, when a rod-shaped oxide catalyst containing electrode is discharged, a primary feature at about 1123 centimeter wave number associated with the reversible formation of LiO2 is observed, while no formation of Li2O2 or an interface between LiO2 carbon is observed. Although Raman provides valuable insights into the nature of the species form, it is limited in the fact that it is a spot technique and cannot be used to quantify the amount of discharge products that are distributed between LiO2 and Li2O2. In order to understand the discharge product distribution, we turn our attention to quantitative techniques involving chemical titration. Chemical titration takes advantage of the reaction of Li2O2 with water, leading to the formation of lithium hydroxide and hydrogen peroxide. On the other hand, lithium superoxide or LiO2 reacts with water, leading to the formation of LiOH and evolution of oxygen as opposed to the formation of H2O2. The formed H2O2 can then be titrated using a titrating reagent such as titanium oxysulfate, which changes to orangish in color upon reaction with H2O2. In addition, each mole of H2O2 formed corresponds to 1 mole of Li2O2, thus making these calculations simple. The amount of titanium oxysulfate that changes color is determined using UV vis spectroscopy. If all the discharge species on a discharge electrode were Li2O2, this is the curve that you would expect using UV vis spectroscopy. When carbon is used as the cathode, 80% of the discharge species can be attributed to the formation of Li2O2, with the remaining 20% being attributed to the formation of LiO2. On the other hand, when the rod-shaped oxide catalyst is titrated, only 35% of the discharged product can be attributed to the Li2O2, with the remaining 65% being potentially LiO2-like species. To confirm the formation of LiO2, we go back to titration studies where we monitor the amount of oxygen evolved during the reaction with water. On a carbon only electrode, roughly 16% of the discharged products can be attributed to the presence of LiO2 as measured using the amount of oxygen evolved. On the other hand, on a rod shaped oxide catalyst containing electrode, about 60% of the discharged species is attributed to the formation of LiO2, consistent with our chemical titration studies that I showed in the previous slide. These quantification tools are further verified using mass spectrometry based studies, where the number of moles of oxygen evolved during the charge cycle is continuously monitored. The red and the black lines indicate the amount of oxygen evolved if all the discharged products were either Li2O2 or LiO2. Between a charging potential of roughly 3.5 volts and 3.9 volts, a 1.5 electron transfer is observed. This is consistent with the broad peak observed at about 3.7 volts, which can now be attributed to the oxidation of LiO2 like species, while the peak at 4.12 corresponds to roughly a 2 electron transfer, suggesting the oxidation of Li2O2 like species. These experimental studies have so far suggested that the reduction in the charge over potentials on the rod-shaped oxide electrocatalyst is due to the formation of due to the selective formation of LiO2 during discharge, which oxidizes at a lower over potential as compared to Li2O2. Although experimental studies are valuable in determining the distribution of the discharged products, they are limited in identifying this near surface interface between the formed lithium oxygen species and the surface of the catalyst. In order to understand this interface, we turn our attention to atomistic simulations using DFT studies in collaboration with Professor Jeff Greeley's group at Purdue University. The surface termination of these oxides is known to be 001 nickel oxide based on our experimental studies. Hence, that surface structure is used for the modeling of the lithium oxygen species formed during discharge. Both LiO2 and Li2O2 like species were grown on the surface of LNO, and in both cases, a near surface lithium rich region was found. These calculations, the novelty about these calculations is the fact that uh, a film of LiO2 and Li2O2 is simultaneously minimized in energy and strain as compared to the absorption of a single molecule of LiO2 or Li2O2 to describe the catalytic performance. It is initially observed that the near surface lithium rich region occupies a threefold oxygen site on the surface of the electrode. And then this lithium rich region provides a template for the further growth of LiO2 and Li2O2 like species. This is consistent with our experimental studies where the SCM of the discharge electrode of the pristine and the discharge electrode show the formation of film-like species with a film thickness of roughly 18 nanometers. To further understand the electronic structure of this interface, we use density of states analysis, where continuous states are found both for LiO2 and Li2O2 at the surface with LNO, thus suggesting a conductive interface potentially leading to lowering of the charge over potential losses. These theoretical insights are then converted into a phase diagram where the free energy of formation of LiO2 and Li2O2 as a function of discharge potential is studied. It is observed that till a discharge potential of roughly 2.5 volts, the formation of LiO2 is more stable than that of Li2O2. In order to validate these theoretical calculations, We discharge the electrode at a constant potential of 2.75 volts and titrate the electrode to find that only 10% of the discharge species can be attributed to Li2O2, indicating 90% of the discharge species is due to the formation of LiO2. As the discharge potential is lowered to 2.65 volts, the amount of LiO2 decreases and the amount of Li2O2 increases, consistent with our phase diagram. While when one goes beyond 2.5 volts and discharges a cell at roughly 2.3 volts, uh, 60% of the discharged product can be attributed to the formation of uh, Li2O2, with only 40% being LiO2 now. To validate the formation of LiO2 and lowering of the charge over potential losses, we discharge cells at constant potentials of 2.75 and 2.65 volts on the rod-shaped LNO containing electrodes. It is observed that when a cell is discharged at a constant potential of 2.75 volts and then charged back up, a further reduction in the charge over potential is observed as compared to a cell discharge at 2.65 volts. This validates our theoretical predictions and our hypothesis that the selective formation of LiO2 on these oxides leads to the enhanced catalytic performance. The lowering of this charge over potential also results in an enhancement in the stability of these electrodes, with roughly 100% enhancement, change going all the way from 16 now cycles on a carbon only electrode to more than 32 cycles on an LNO containing electrode. To conclude, what we develop here is a well controlled fundamental framework where model system oxide electrocatalysts are used as cathode electrocatalysts in lithium oxygen batteries to lower the charge over potential losses. The lowering of this charge over potentials are then understood using a combination of qualitative and quantitative tools. Raman spectroscopy on an LNO containing electrode indicates the reversible formation of LiO2, while quantification techniques like titration and electrochemical mass spectrometry indicate that more than 60% of the discharge species is due to the selective formation of LiO2 during discharge. These experimental insights are then benchmarked using theoretical calculations, which suggest a stable and favorable formation of LiO2 till a discharge potential of 2.5 volts. The impact of this work is now twofold, in the sense that the developed fundamental framework can be used to identify more active and stable oxides for lithium oxygen batteries. That is ongoing work in our group right now, where we are trying to investigate the effect of the composition of the oxide as well as the crystal symmetry on the selectivity of different discharge products and the overall electrocatalytic performance. With that, I'd like to conclude my talk, and I'd like to thank the Department of Energy Early Career Program for supporting this research. I'd like to thank my lab mates at Nicola Lab at Wayne State University. I'd like to thank my advisor Aranda Nicola for being instrumental in providing all the support that is needed to get this work published. I'd also like to thank Chip Roberts for all the help with Raman spectroscopy measurements, as well as our collaborators Jeff Greeley and Sid Deshpande at Purdue University for all the help with atomistic simulations. If you have any questions regarding this work, feel free to reach out to us. This is our website where you can find the email addresses of all the students. In addition, if you want to reach out directly using Twitter, we are present on Twitter. My Twitter handle is Samji Samira. The lab's Twitter handle is Nicola Lab, and my advisor's Twitter handle is Aranda Nicola. Please feel free to reach out to us if you have any other questions. With that, I'd like to conclude my talk today. Thank you for your attention. Hope you learned something new and have a great day ahead.